NDSU is marching into homecoming with good reason to celebrate. The Bison unbeaten through non-conference play with good offense and great defense. An explosive running game set the tone last week, racking up touchdown after touchdown. Code Green didn't allow a single point to the Colonials, only surrendering 57 yards the entire game. But it's a different ball game as Missouri Valley play begins with Missouri State entering the Fargo Dome. It's the Bison and the Bears on homecoming in Fargo.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Hello and welcome into the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. I am Alex Egan. Beth Houle is off this week, so we will be joining Ryan Gellner and company out in the Fargo Dome today. And let's not waste any time and get right out to Ryan Gellner as it is homecoming at the Fargo Dome. Ryan, happy Football Saturday. Happy homecoming to you.
Yeah, it certainly is that. A new buzz in the air. Conference play is open, and you mentioned it. It is homecoming for North Dakota State. Important for the Bison, Alex, today to get off on the right foot, survive what I think is going to be a Missouri State team that takes some chances, takes some shots down the field. Bison survive that. You have to like their chances in this football game, but no doubt about it, it is a stretch now for NDSU as conference play is upon us.
A battle of attrition for the Bison as they get set to go here against Missouri State today. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about, Ryan, and I know this has been a talking point for a lot of people around the conference, is the Bison defense. Code Green has been playing absolutely lights out. And granted, the level of competition that they've been playing hasn't exactly been, you know, top 10 teams with the exception of Eastern Washington. But this Bison defense is playing really, really well right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. How much of that is an aspect of who they've been playing? Although you can look at that Eastern Washington game and say that North Dakota State played pretty well against a top 10 football team in that game because Eastern Washington has played well since they played North Dakota State. Now, the other teams, yeah, for lack of a better word, they've played a couple of dogs early in this football season, Alex. But this Bison defense has been so good. They are number one in so many categories. Total defense, against the run, against the pass. They have been outstanding. What's impressive, they're doing it without arguably their best football player, or maybe their two best football players. Although it is the mentality here that the next guy has to step up for this football team. They're two young linebackers that are playing, have been playing off the charts, and today it's a little bit of a different test for them. They'll see some option and some shotgun option, as well as some rinky-dink things that Missouri State will throw in. So it's another big test for the Bison defense, and as we mentioned all along, as they get ready for conference play, that defense has to be ready to go today and for the next 8 weeks, Al.
And I think what the big thing is how well the Bison defense got off against Robert Morris, and they were making sure that the offense was having short fields, that they weren't going to allow Robert Morris to get into any sort of rhythm. And in fact, they didn't allow a single third down conversion to the Colonials last week. And that was a big thing for the defense. And we know Trey Dempsey said afterwards that it was going to be dominate. That was the word of the week, was dominate. We wanted to dominate every single aspect of the game. But you mentioned, now it is a different ball game. It is Missouri State. It is Missouri Valley Football Conference play. This is certainly going to be a little bit of a different test. That option that you mentioned, that shotgun option, these are things that the Bison haven't seen. You got a chance to talk with defensive coordinator Matt Entz. What did he say about how this Missouri State team likes to attack?
Well, yeah, it's really about rising up to the challenge because Missouri State has a quarterback that I don't think throws the ball very well, so they have to do some unique things to get him on the outside. This Missouri State offensive line has given up 14 sacks this year, Alex, and that really means good news for the Bison. Now, a lot of those sacks have been late in the game when Missouri State has fallen behind, but this offensive line for Missouri State, it's a chance for NDSU to get after the football, but Missouri State, they run that option. They'll run reverses. Listen, they have playmakers. They have kids that you've heard of before if you follow Bison football. This Malik Earl is a special athlete. Their kick returner is a special athlete. And they now have him putting him at running back, and they'll run some different things. But, Alex, they have hit a big play every single game, and they've done some things that are a little bit non-traditional to get the ball to the outside and then throw it down the field, or run reverses, or give it to the running back in awkward positions. They'll line up guards where they shouldn't be lined up. So they'll do a bunch of different things, and that goes back to this Bison defense. How much can they adjust to what Missouri State is doing and adjust on the fly? These are young linebackers, and against the option, those linebackers are so important. You mentioned Trey Dempsey's name. He's going to have to come up and they have to have what Bison coaches call eyes on the ball. They have to know where that ball is at all times in this option offense.
Certainly should be a fun one. Looking forward to it today. And we got a chance to catch up with Nate Tangway earlier in the week, and I asked him, what's the best part about playing in Missouri Valley football play, and this is what he had to say.
Once you get back to the Missouri Valley, it's all the teams are really physical. Some pass more than others, whatever. But it's, they'll get down, and when it's 4th and 1, they're going to come at you, and I love that because then it's really, who's the better man.
That certainly seems to be kind of the sentiment for everybody around the Bison football team as they get set for Missouri Valley play. And I love what Nate said there. When I asked him about it, his eyes lit up about playing Missouri Valley teams. And it is that nitty-gritty game that a lot of Valley teams like to play. You've been around the Valley for a long time. You've seen a lot of Valley football games. That's what we can expect this year. This year is no exception, right, Ryan?
No, this defense is so good, but they've been so good for so many years. And that's kind of what Nate is talking about. Here's a chance to go out and prove that what they've done so far isn't a fluke, that the NDSU defense is the NDSU defense of old, and maybe even better for this Bison defense. They've gotten better each and every game, and that's what you want to see. Not just the progression between games 1 and 2, but then that progression again between 2 and 3, and now progression between 3 and 4. This Bison defense just keeps getting better, and they're good all over the place. You look at their safeties to their corners, their linebackers, and we haven't heard a lot from the Bison interior line. Today might be the day for Nate Tangway and company to do a little more damage.
I think what you're seeing on the bottom of your screen there, North Dakota State leads the FCS in 6 team defensive categories. That is unprecedented. Yeah, unreal how good this Bison defense has been, and that is going up against a pretty stout Eastern Washington team, and then of course taking down Mississippi Valley State and Robert Morris last week. Ryan, we will join you back out there in the Fargo Dome in just a few moments. Thank you for your time. Let's take a real quick look at the schedule for NDSU as we get set to open up Missouri Valley play today. Missouri State in the Fargo Dome today, and then it is a pair of away games at Indiana State and at Youngstown State. That Youngstown State game, just so you know, will not be on the KVLY KFYR Bison Football Network. That will be an ESPN3 exclusive, so start making your preparations there. And then it is a gauntlet for the Bison. Western Illinois, Northern Iowa, South Dakota State and South Dakota. Those are all teams that have very legitimate playoff aspirations. So it does not get any easier from here on out for the Bison as Valley play is upon us. It is homecoming in Fargo. We are excited to bring you the game today that will kick at 1 p.m. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll get to know Missouri State a little bit more. Talk to longtime play-by-play guy Art Haynes from the Bears. We'll have so much more for you here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Welcome back. Scenes from Friday night in downtown Fargo with the North Dakota State Homecoming Parade. It's the marching band right in front of the Fargo Theater. An exciting time. There was a couple thousand people down there last night taking in the homecoming festivities. And of course, what is a homecoming game? You need another team to play in that homecoming game. Today it is Missouri State, and we go back out to the Fargo Dome. Ryan Gellner checks in with longtime play-by-play voice of the Bears, Art Haynes. Ryan?
Yeah, Alex, Art Haynes has been doing this for 38 years. He knows the Bears inside and out, so why not go here for inside information? Art, let's start talking about some of the playmakers that you have, and you've got them all over the field, from the kick return, the running back. You've got excellent wide receivers, and then a pretty good tight end as well. You guys can take shots and have been able to take shots and have success at using your playmakers.
Yeah, Dion Holloman, of course, has had kickoff and punt touchdown returns 2 years in a row in both departments. They're trying to be creative in getting him the ball more in the regular offense. Ran the option, old-fashioned option for a touchdown last week. Jet sweep is a big part of the offense. Malik Earl has had a couple of big games. He's a senior wide receiver, including the game at Mizzou, in which the Bears were in it in the fourth quarter. And the quarterback, Peyton Huslig, I think represents an upgrade at that position. He's a run-pass threat.
Let's talk about this option a little bit. It's something new for you guys, but you've shown it multiple times, even some shotgun option, things like that. You guys get creative.
Well, need to. I mean, the offensive line really is experienced. There are about 8 guys there, 8 or 9, that have had starting experience. I think only one senior in that group. But yet, some of the teams that the Bears have played have dominated the line of scrimmage. So you got to be creative and figure ways to get your playmakers the ball in space.
Yeah, giving up 14 sacks this year. Is that coming from all over different places? Linebackers coming? Where are you giving up those sacks at?
Well, I think some of it, yeah, it is coming from all over. I think, like we said, some of it's from just getting beat up front, and some of it's from getting behind in the second half and going to more of an all-out passing game, and they know what's coming, and then that's when a lot of the sacks have occurred.
It is Missouri Valley play, which means it's a whole new season and a chance to get ready for a bunch of different opponents, but this is really where it's at. The season starts right now.
Well, it started for the Bears last week with Illinois State. They got a week's jump on everybody and really outplayed them in the first half, and it was 6-6, and then things deteriorated. 28 unanswered points in the third quarter for the Redbirds, who are a very good team, particularly defensively. So, yeah, I'd say there are no off weeks in the Valley, but if anything, the Bears' schedule's a little bit front-loaded with Illinois State followed by the Bison.
Well, we're excited to see it today. Art, thank you so much, and congrats on 38 years. That is awesome.
Ryan, thank you.
All right, Alex, back to you.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Art. That is quite an accomplishment, 38 years. He's seen a lot of football in his day. Thank you so much for his time. We're going to go back out to the Fargo Dome, but this time we're going to go outside. Mike Morgan is out in the tailgate lot. He's getting ready to give away some gift certificates. Mike, what do you have for us?
All right, thanks so much, Alex. We're here doing something new again this year. It's called Tailgate Trivia, Bison Tailgate Trivia. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the True Blue Social Club and also Lucky 13's Pub, for providing us with $50 gift certificates. We need 2 contestants to play our game, and I have them here. Let's start out with you first, sir. Your name?
Lucas Miller.
Lucas, do you know how the game is played?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and if you can answer it correctly, then you're going to win one of 2 gift certificates of my choosing. Are you ready?
I am.
Here we go. Are you nervous?
No.
No. All right, here we go. Here's the question. Chris Kleiman is the current head coach for the NDSU football team. You with me so far?
I am.
How many total coaches have there been? 30 or 36? 30 or 36?
I'm going to say 30.
30. Do you think he's correct? Yeah. Lucas, you are correct. It is 30. Congratulations. Very spirited crowd here today, and we like that. You are the fine recipient of a Lucky 13's Pub $50 gift certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, that's how easy it is. Michelle, that's your name, correct? What's your last name?
Hamry.
Are you from Fargo?
Yes.
Okay, are you nervous?
Yes.
You are nervous. All right, here we go. Lamar Gordon holds the record for the most rushing yards gained in a Bison uniform. What is that total? Is it 4,700 or 3,700?
4,700.
It is 4,700. The crowd, is that correct? That is correct! Congratulations! Now, you weren't sure. You said, this is going to be hard, but that went well.
It did.
All right. You win a $50 gift certificate to the True Blue Social Club.
Awesome.
Congratulations so much. Thanks to our contestants. Thanks to the spirited fans behind us. And we'll be back with another Bison Tailgate Trivia later on in the show. Alex?
All right, thank you very much, Mike. The tailgaters are out. It is Missouri Valley Football Conference time. It is homecoming in Fargo. It is almost time for football. We'll get you out to the Fargo Dome, 45 minutes away from kick. Still plenty more to come here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. Welcome back inside our Fargo studios as we are getting you set for North Dakota State taking on Missouri State and homecoming here today in Fargo. Let's go back out to the Fargo Dome. Ryan Gellner is standing by with our Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Injury Report. Ryan?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Dr. Bruce Pyatt joins us as always from the Bison sideline. And Coach Pyatt, this week, let's talk a little bit about physicals, because it's that time of the year where all of a sudden the fall season is starting to wrap up, and we hate to say that, but winter season is almost here. So all of those basketball players and parents at home, physicals have changed over the years. Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I know it's one of those things that's perceived as kind of a necessary evil that you have to go through. I mean, the usual scenario is the day before you remember, oh, I've got to get that physical so I can get my child on the field or on the court by the next day. So they're rushing in trying to get it done. And I would just warn people that's the wrong approach to take to it, because the whole idea of the physical is for us to have an opportunity to look at the athlete, kind of assess their overall health, including the most important part, kind of going through their histories, figuring out what's been in their past, what kind of problems they've had, and then be able to have an opportunity to either evaluate further or work up further if we need to, anything that's out of the ordinary.
There have been different tests that have been done, and the technology has really increased. And I know specifically student athletes now can get their heart checked and have things looked at in that regard that was different from when I played.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that the medical history that we obtain from the athlete is still by far the most important thing. So specifically talking to kind of cardiovascular issues or the heart in general, we really want to know what has been their history. Have they had problems where when they work out they faint or have a near fainting episode? Those are important things for us to know. So we don't ever want to make light of that. But at the same time, we've been able to be given the opportunity that not only to do a physical examination that includes our physical examination of listening to the heart and the heart sounds and things, but we may have some opportunity to use some of the new technology to evaluate that. I think in the near future, particularly at the collegiate level, we're going to be required to perform EKGs in different manners for our athletes. Today, that's not a requirement, but a lot of the big programs, including us, are really evaluating the usefulness of that. We're still looking to the cardiologist to tell us what is important and how much of a screening do we need? Do we need a full big workup, or can we do just some very limited things? And they're really defining that for us.
Yeah, it has come a long way, and I guess the message is get your physicals scheduled, get them in, especially for those high school athletes.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's so many things, and we talk a lot about the heart, but we can look at a lot of different things and even assess some of their musculoskeletal problems and tell them where they're at risk and stuff too.
That's it for our medical update from the sideline. Alex, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. Thank you very much, Ryan. Let's get into the injury report for today. For the Bison, Cole Davis suffering a shoulder injury on a touchdown run last week. He is out for today. Nick DeLuca still coming back off of that meniscus injury that he suffered prior to the Eastern Washington game. He is doubtful. Ty Brooks, who missed last week's game against Robert Morris, will be questionable to go for today. Let's go back to Cole Davis missing, and we'll show you the play that he got injured on. And he's expected to miss at least 4 weeks with this shoulder injury. It's an AC joint injury, and it's very unfortunate because it came on his first rushing touchdown as a Bison football player, fifth-year senior that has been working away and working his way to get some playing time and get some valuable snaps today. That's the play right there where he injured his shoulder. It's a AC joint injury, and it is to his throwing arm. So that is what is unfortunate. The big thing also with this is Cole Davis is the holder for PATs and field goals. Those duties will now transfer over to Jackson Coots, the punter for the Bison. And we'll take a look at the depth chart now for the Bison at quarterback. And what it is Easton Stick is still your starter. Henry Van Dellen, the redshirt freshman, will now move into that backup spot. And then James Hendricks, who was a quarterback, has flipped over to the defensive side to play safety so that he could actually play some football. He was behind a couple of guys on the depth chart on the quarterback side, so he moved over to safety, and now he becomes the emergency number 3 quarterback. And we've already seen today him taking a few snaps warming up as a quarterback. He will still play safety as well. Let's take a look at Easton Stick and his numbers this year, and they are pretty darn impressive. He hasn't played a full game yet this season. 389 passing yards on 40 attempts, 29 completions. That's that 72.5% completion percentage that we're we've always been talking about this year. They want to keep that number up above 65, 70% for him. No interceptions. In fact, he's got a lengthy streak going without any interceptions dating back to last year. And, of course, he's got a few rushing touchdowns as well. And then on the other side, going for Missouri State, it is Peyton Huslig, the sophomore from Andover, Kansas. He's got 838 passing yards on the year. They throw the football a little bit more than he's thrown the football a little bit more than Easton Stick has. His completion percentage right around that 57, 58%. He has been known to turn the football over, 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, a 1-to-1 ratio there. He's also run a lot. They run the option, as you've heard from Ryan and Art earlier in the show. They will run the option a little bit, and that includes the quarterback keeping it a little bit, and he's able to get into the end zone as well. So the Bison defense will have to keep their eyes on not just the 10 skill players, but also Peyton back there at quarterback. We are going to step aside. When we come back, plenty more to come. We will get you out to the Fargo Dome. This guy is great. He's got a mobile Bison out there in the tailgate lot. Good times out there in the tailgate lot. We come back, we'll go back out to the Fargo Dome with Ryan Gellner, Brian Shawn, and Lee Timmerman getting you set for football. Still to come here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Hi, and welcome back inside the Fargo Dome, just above Gate City Bank Field. I am Ryan Gellner. This is Brian Shawn. This is Lee Timmerman. And this is conference play for North Dakota State. The Bison opened today against Missouri State University. And Brian, let's start right there. It is conference play for the Bison. It is a whole new slate, a whole new season. Preseason, the checklist is there. So far successful, but it all starts new today.
Yeah, it really does. And it was interesting talking to some of the coaches and players this week, as they said, you know, the meetings do run a little bit longer. It changes our demeanor going into this, because we realize the grind. We play every week now for the next 8 weeks, and all that matters is winning another Valley Conference championship, and it would be the 7th straight for NDSU. That is goal one. That's priority one, because if you take care of business there, you clinch one of those top seeds in the playoffs and can play home once you get into December.
Lee Timmerman, who will serve as analyst in today's football game. When the Bison lost against James Madison last year, Chris Kleiman came out and said, we weren't as deep as they were, and that was a big difference in that football game. Well, this offseason and this preseason, so to speak, the Bison got deeper.
They certainly did. They addressed the situations, and when you were watching our telecast, you saw it. The Bison were able to go sometimes 3 and sometimes 4 deep. That's the depth on the both offensive and defensive sides that Coach Kleiman was talking about. He hopes that those guys don't have to play when you get to the Youngstowns and the South Dakota States of the world. But if they have to be ready, and the Bison have gotten that depth ready so far this offseason, or pre-conference, if you will.
Yeah, offseason, pre-conference, it gets real right now with a string of 8 straight Missouri Valley Conference games. Let's get into our keys to the game as we look at Missouri State a little bit closer. And our first key of the game is careful kicks. And this one is for me. We're talking both punting and kicking for North Dakota State. Here's why. Deion Holloman has 9 career touchdowns. 4 of them are on kick returns. He led the nation in combined kick average in 2014. He was in the top 10 last year. This year he averages 20 yards a kick return and 10 yards a punt return. The Bison have to be careful on both kickoffs and on punts. Watch out for number 5, Deion Holloman, this afternoon for North Dakota State. Our second key is surviving a shot, and that's something Missouri State really does. They have playmakers. Malik Earl caught an 89-yard touchdown at Missouri to start the season. Eric Furmanchek had a 60-yard touchdown pass in game number 2. The next game, they both had 35-yard touchdowns. And then last week against Illinois State, Deion Holloman had a 53-yard run just 42 seconds into the football game. LTF, Missouri State has taken a shot in all 4 of the games so far this year, and they've taken them early. You have to expect they're going to try something tricky against North Dakota State.
The Bison defense are expecting something tricky, but the reason that they've done that is because they have to. Missouri State's offensive line, quite frankly, and looking at tape, they're not very good. And then Coach Steckel even said that. He goes, well, the people you mentioned, Ryan, the Earls, the Hollemans, the Crowders, people know about those athletes and what they can do. But what Steck said, nobody has said anything so far this year about our offensive line. Why? Because it's not very good, even though it's guys who have played and have played a lot.
They have given up 14 sacks on that offensive line. Now, in fairness, some of that has come later in the game because they've been behind. Our third key is balance on O, and that's looking at North Dakota State. They've got to get a little bit more balanced on O. And those are my thoughts, not necessarily North Dakota State's thoughts, but let's break it down. North Dakota State has run the football 164 times this year. They've passed it 63 times. That breaks out to about that 60-40 percentage. 60% run, 40% pass. That's been Bison traditionally what they want to do. Now there's a new offensive coordinator, Brian, and I get the feeling he wants to be a little bit closer to 50-50. That's what he's strong at, and we'll see if the Bison get closer to 50-50. A lot of that then will go on Easton Stick, but I get a feeling as they get closer to 50-50, that's where the Bison want to be. Brian, they really seem, I think, at least in preparations, to be making an effort to make teams respect the pass a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's one thing that Courtney Messingham wants to do is get the passing game going, get more guys involved in that passing game. That's going to be a key, I think, moving forward. I think for North Dakota State offensively, though, they've been up so big in games in the second half that throwing the football really doesn't make sense. And they've been able to run it with such ease against all their opponents so far. Why go away from that when it's working as efficiently as it is? Let's kill the clock, let's ground it down, let's get out of here. I think that's why you've seen it. But certainly when you get into Valley Place, certainly in the back half of that schedule, when you look at the Youngstown states, when you look at the Western Illinois, South Dakota State, the passing game is going to have to come alive, and that's where we're going to need to see guys play not only Darius Shepard and R.J. Urzendowski raise up their level of game, but the Dimitri Williams, some of those other receivers, those tight ends are going to have to continue to get involved. We've seen Nate Jensen fill that role as well. It's going to be important for all those pieces to be at their disposal, be on top of their game once you get into mid-October.
And I think really the question is, how good can this Bison offense be? Because we've seen pieces, and some of those pieces have been Lance Dunn. Lee, can you believe he leads the FCS in touchdowns with 9?
With 9 after only a few games. 23 is the Bison record. He's almost halfway there already. But you talked about taking shots, and you asked me about Missouri State taking shots. I think the Bison want to take shots, just to follow up a little bit of what Bichon was talking about too, because I think these safeties can be had, and they can be had deep. Look for some deep post routes. Look for maybe Ilias or Jensen, as Brian talked about. These safeties have to be so involved in stopping the run that the coaching staff for the Bison thinks that they can beat them deep and beat them deep early.
It is homecoming for North Dakota State, and it is the conference opener for the Bison. Very important the Bison get off to a 1-0 start. When we come back, we will hear from the head coach, Chris Kleiman. He'll join us in just a little bit. This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison pregame show. North Dakota State and Missouri State live from just above Gate City Bank Field in the Fargo Dome. My name is Ryan Gellner, and this is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison pregame show as we get set for conference play here as North Dakota State gets set. Our Herd Line news this week starts with some conference honors to a couple of Bison players. Running back Lance Dunn and linebacker Jabril Cox take home honors this week from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Both were named Players of the Week, and how about that run right there by Lance Dunn? The junior from Waterloo, Iowa, was co-offensive player of the week. Not bad for just 3 carries. Those carries, a 61-yard touchdown, which you watched there, a 5-yard touchdown coming up here, and a 45-yard touchdown for that man right there, Lance Dunn. He also caught one last week, and go figure, that went for a 10-yard touchdown as well. Lance Dunn, Conference Player of the Week. He's got 9 touchdowns this year. It leads the FCS. Jabril Cox, in his first extended action of the season at linebacker, played pretty well. A team-high 8 tackles and a fumble recovery for the Bison in last week's win. Cox, the redshirt freshman from Kansas City, added 4 more tackles on special teams, and that is where he has been so good. Off the field, a great honor for Grant Morgan of North Dakota State. The National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame have announced that Morgan, a defensive tackle for the Herd, is one of 181 semifinalists for the William V. Campbell Trophy. That is an outstanding honor for him. It recognizes an individual with the absolute best football scholar in the nation. The finalists will be announced for that award on November 1st. To be eligible, candidates obviously must play football, must be in their final year, and must carry a grade point average above 3.2. Grant Morgan, a finalist for the, or a semifinalist for the Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame that will be announced later on this year. Congratulations, good luck to Grant Morgan. That is our Herdline News for today, September 30th, 2017. Speaking of conference play, the Bison get ready for it, and I had a chance to talk to the head coach about just that as North Dakota State gets set for Missouri State and kicking this thing off. It is important NDSU gets on the right foot. Let's start just conference season, homecoming. This thing's got a whole different feel, mainly because it's a big conference game.
Absolutely. That's why we do what we're doing is for conference season. It's something we talk about in the beginning of winter conditioning to the start of fall camp is our opportunity to compete in the best conference in FCS. And we have 8 one-week seasons, and all our focus is on Missouri State today.
And Missouri State poses a little bit of a challenge in the offense they run. They're a little bit gimmicky, but they'll go shotgun, and then they'll throw some option in there. Lots for your defense to be ready for.
Yeah, your eyes have to be right because you're going to see an awful lot of option, and if you don't have somebody on the quarterback or pitch, they're going to gash you for a big play like they've done to numerous teams. So it's all purely responsibility football.
And offensively, I assume you guys want to do what you do, run the football, a couple quick passes, do your thing.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see because I assume we're going to see 8, 9, 10-man boxes, and so Easton's got to be on point, and I look for RJ and Shep to have big games.
All right, that is head coach Chris Kleiman. Thanks, Coach.
You bet, thanks.
North Dakota State and Missouri State, and our thanks to the head coach Chris Kleiman for joining us each and every pregame show as we get you set for Bison football again today. A couple of things on the injury news for North Dakota State. Ty Brooks has been cleared to play for North Dakota State. Now, if Ty will play or not, that is up to the team and maybe the flow of the football game, but after getting leg whipped a couple of weeks ago, Ty Brooks, we understand, is in. And linebacker Nick DeLuca is warming up in full pads today. I don't know what to make of that, and I'm not sure anyone knows what to make of that, but that is something interesting to note. Nick DeLuca in full pads as the Bison get ready for football against Missouri State and conference. Is it for show or is it for go for Nick DeLuca? We'll watch that throughout the football game. We expect a special guest to join us sometime during the broadcast, whether it's now in the pregame show or a little bit later network-wide when the game hits. But we will have one of the all-time winningest players in FCS football join us during today's show. So that also something to look forward to. Also some talk about Lance Dunn and the special things that he has done coming up on the Bison pregame show. This is the KVLY KFYR Bison Network, and this is the Farmers Union Bison pregame show back in studio in our Fargo studios when we come back as we get you set for football now about 23 minutes away here at the Fargo Dome.
A friendly reminder to join us tomorrow morning at 10:30 for the Bison Football Show with Chris Kleiman. Coach and Jeremy Jorgensen will recap today's game. You can catch it on KX4 here in the East or on this very same channel out in the West. We will also have it streaming live on valleynewslive.com. Welcome back inside our Fargo studios as we get you set for NDSU and Missouri State on homecoming, just about 15 minutes or so away from sending you out to the Fargo Dome for kickoff. Let's get into our Bobcat heavy lifting report, and we've heard a few guys mentioned already for Missouri State, some of the playmakers that they have. So one of the playmakers on the Bison side of things needs to be Jalen Allison. He will be kind of on an island today as he is guarding for the most part. He will be man up on Malik Earl, the standout wide receiver for Missouri State. Malik Earl has been breaking all kinds of records and setting records for the Bears. So Jalen Allison, who typically plays on the single receiver side, which is where Malik Earl likes to line up on the single receiver side, will be the guy that will need to have himself a big game today to limit how the Bears, attack the Bison today on offense, should they decide to throw the football. Let's go back out to the Fargo Dome. Ryan Gellner standing by. And Ryan, you talk about Malik Earl and what he brings. They also have that great kick returner, Holloman. This Bears team is no joke on offense, but the Bison offense is pretty good themselves, specifically number 10 running out there.
Yeah, that number 10 is Lance Dunn. And I asked offensive coordinator Courtney Messingham about him, exactly what changed in his game, because he has certainly progressed from last year to this year. And I also asked Lance Dunn Sr., Lance's dad, What do you see from Lance progressing? Lance's dad said it's vision. It's all about vision for Lance Dunn. And Courtney Messingham kind of echoed those comments, although he talked about Lance seeing blur. What he means by that is blur out in front of him. Right there, it got blurry, so he goes to the clear spot. He's able to see that, bounce that run outside. Now, that's a little bit of a twofold thing there because Lance Dunn not only got outside, there happened to be no cornerback there, but if you watch Lance Dunn run, Alex, one of the things he does so well is find some of that job, find some of that blur, so to speak, in front of him, and then know where to go, whether to take that on or get to the outside. He's had a lot of success getting to the outside early this season.
Well, and it certainly didn't hurt that every time he touched the football last week against Robert Morris, he was able to find the end zone. The Bison utilizing a little bit of an option look, as you see on your screen there. That's something that we haven't seen too much out of the Bison, the option look for him. And Lance Dunn can really do it all. He is a threat out of the backfield running. He's a threat out of the backfield receiving. If you're a Missouri State team, how are you planning to stop number 10?
Tackle him. Tackle him, right? You might as well just tackle the Bison running back, but that has been hard to do because he's got a couple of things. We talked about that great vision. We talked about that great feel, the game slowing down for him, and then the breakaway feet that he's got and the speed going down the sideline for Lance Dunn. And he's not easy to stop because just when you stop him, then the Bison can throw in another running back and run by people. It's just been so impressive how well he's been able to do and how well he's been able to get down the field. So far, nobody's been able to key on him and be able to stop him. You saw them stop the run a little bit ago last week. They tried to stack the box, and he just went outside and went right by him. It's pretty easy for him.
Yeah, Lance Dunn certainly making things look easy on the offensive side for the Bison. Another player that we haven't seen play a full 4 quarters yet is quarterback Easton Stick. I mean, his biggest challenge was against Eastern Washington, and really there he was able to just pick apart the Eagles defense, connecting with a number of different weapons that he has. I caught up with Jeff Ilias earlier in the week. We'll hear from him in just a bit, but Ilias, I said, hey, are you excited to see Easton play a full 4-quarter game? And Jeff said, well, no, not really, because that means that we've done pretty well on offense, that he's not in the game anymore. Ryan, you've seen Easton Stick play now here, entering his 3rd season as a starting quarterback. What are you seeing out of Easton that you're really keying on this year?
Well, Easton has become such a leader, and that's an intangible on this Bison football team. He's been such a leader for this football team, both in the locker room and outside, then on the field. And you've seen what he can do on the field running the football. He's gone away from that a little bit and been more of a pocket passer. I think he's still trying to improve getting the ball out of his hand early on. He's just been so deadly in that huddle and getting things set for North Dakota State. He sees the field really well. And the things he's been able to do, maybe that don't go noticed, is change some plays at the line, get them into the right coverages and the right protections offensively, and then been able to throw the football. I think we still haven't seen that deep ball, the deep touch that he has. That's one thing Bison coaches are excited about. When they open him up, they can throw him deep. And when that happens, North Dakota State becomes even more dimensional than they are now. Courtney Messingham, I believe, wants to get this thing closer to 50-50 pass-run ratio. Right now, they're a little more run-heavy, but that's kind of a product of where they've been these first couple of games. I think if they can get Easton Stick to throw the football a little bit more, they'd be happy. They'd throw some more things on tape for other teams to have to look at, and then go from there. And Easton Stick has been good with his legs, he's been good with his arm, and now it's take the next level and see some of that deep ball and keep teams back on their heels a little bit rather than coming up and trying to stack the box.
Yeah, we talk about Easton Stick, we talk about Lance Dunn and how good he is, but there are plenty of playmakers on this Bison roster, and that's exactly what Jeff Ilias said when I caught up with him earlier this week. And he said, you know, anytime we get the ball out in any one of our players' hands, it's fantastic. Here's Jeff.
There's potential for a play there, and it's fun knowing that. And then the guys up front are exceeding expectations every week, and we got a really good unit, and I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Should be thrilling to see what the Bison offense can do the rest of the season. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. We'll check in with you throughout the game broadcast as you'll be roaming the sidelines down there. Enjoy this one down there at the Fargo Dome. Thanks, Ryan.
Just like old times, Alex. Glad to be along.
We got the band back together. All right, we'll check in with you during the game broadcast. Let's go out to the tailgate lot where Mike Morgan is standing by. He's ready to give away some more gift cards. Mike.
All right, thanks so much, Alex. We've got 2 more contestants for our Bison Trivia. And the first one is?
Carol.
Carol, what's your last name?
Christensen.
And where are you from, Carol?
Hillsboro.
Hillsboro, Borough Country, is that correct?
That's correct.
How's their football team this year?
Wonderful.
Doing well?
Very well.
Okay, good. You know how to play the game? Let me tell you, I ask you a question, and if you answer it correctly, you will win one of 2 gift certificates, one from the True Blue Social Club or the Lucky's 13 Pub, okay? It's $50.
Woo!
Yes, that's what I say. Here's your question. Okay. Who holds the record for the most wins by a quarterback for the Bison with 48? Is it Brock Jensen or Steve Walker? Okay, hold on. Crowd, and is there help? Any help for her?
Jensen.
Brock Jensen. And the correct answer is Brock Jensen. Brock Jensen. Congratulations, Carol. Carol, you win a $50 gift certificate to the True Blue Social Club. Congratulations. All right? All right, our next contestant, you saw how easy that was. And you have a fan base that you can draw upon as well. What is the official mascot of the NDSU Bison? Is it? Carol, quit booing. You got a gift certificate. Is it Thundar or Hutch Johnson?
Thundar.
Thundar is the correct answer. Congratulations. You win a $50 gift card to the Lucky's 13 Pub. Thank you very much. Carol, what was the boo all about?
Well, she got an easy question.
Well, you got a certificate already. Okay. That's how easy it is to play, and that's how easy it is to win. Thanks so much to Leah. Thanks so much to Carol. Thanks to the fans. We'll take it back to the studio and Alex.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. She got an easy question. That's great. More scenes from the homecoming parade down there in downtown Fargo. Whoa, we are getting set for football, just about 6.5 minutes away here on the Coors Light Countdown Clock. We come back, we'll get our final thoughts from the guys calling the game, and then get you back out to the Fargo Dome for football. It's North Dakota State, Missouri State on homecoming here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Welcome back inside our Fargo studios. Just over 3.5 minutes until we get you out to the Fargo Dome for kickoff between Missouri State and North Dakota State on homecoming. A few things that I want to mention before we get out to the game. The Bison are approaching their 700th win all time as a football program. They have 699 wins. There's only a handful of Ivy League schools that have more wins at the FCS level, and all of those schools have over more years of football experience than the Bison. They certainly have been good over the past 5-6 seasons, no less, in FCS. And of course, it would be a milestone today to pick up win number 700. It will also be a milestone because the Bison can tie their longest homecoming winning streak. The Bison sit at 6 right now, going for win number 7 in a row on homecoming as we get set for football. Let's go back out to the Fargo Dome and get the guys' final thoughts one final time. We'll start with Ryan Gellner. Ryan.
Yeah, Alex, for me, the final thoughts are this Bison offense. Now, they have been so good against non-conference opponents. How does it fit in against conference teams? Now, these are teams that know exactly what the Bison are going to do. They're going to run the football, no doubt about it. Lance Dunn, Bruce Anderson, they've been so good early in the season. How does that translate into conference play? That plus Easton Stick. I think the Bison want to throw the football a little bit more than they've been able to throw it because of these big leads that is. And so where does Easton Stick fit in for this Bison offense, and how can he get the ball down the field and make teams play the pass rather than just trying to shut down this great Bison running game? For me, it's all about the Bison offense. Upstairs now to Brian Shawn.
All right, thanks, Ryan. I think my final thoughts moving into this matchup is to see how much pressure North Dakota State puts on the opposing quarterback today. Husling, one of those guys that has not performed well when pressure has been brought. We'll see if Matt Entz decides to dial up, especially early in this matchup today.
My final thoughts also involve the defensive side, and I just want to look a little bit about where the tackles are coming from. For Missouri State, 3 of their top 5 tacklers are defensive backs. That is not a good thing. The top 4 tacklers for the Bison are linebackers. That means the guys up front keeping those linebackers clean. Bison defense will have a good day today.
All right, Alex, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, guys. We'll get you back out to them in a little over a minute or so as we get set for football, Missouri State and North Dakota State. The last thing for me to add to today's game is I'm going to talk about the offense. The Bison have put up 72 points in a win, 40 points in a win, and 56 points in a win so far this season. I'm not sure that trend doesn't continue today, to excuse my double negatives. But I think that the Bison will again be approaching that half-century mark again with the offense today. Missouri State, when I look at them, they just don't seem to have what it takes to slow down this Bison offense, and vice versa. This Bison defense looks like they can probably slow down Missouri State offense pretty well. We are going to get you out to football here in about 30 seconds or so. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. We will see you back here at halftime for the Proceed Halftime Report. Enjoy the football game, everyone. We'll see you soon.